Hello, welcome to the Movie Mates podcast, a podcast where we discuss the best place to spend your movie dollary dues. As always, I'm your mate Adam, and joined with me is my mate and your mate too, Ben.
Ew.
So, thankfully, we are past Huey Halloween.
That we are.
And we are into a new and godly age of the blood of Zeus. I'm very excited about this one.
Godly age. Nicely done, Adam. Very nicely done.
It's not like I've prepared these before the show starts at all. This is totally off the top.
Such clever wit. Yes.
Oh, my God.
I am glad we're past Huey Halloween, though, because, my God, if you didn't watch the last or listen to the last episode, do not watch it.
I mean, that's it. No, do and we should clarify. Do not watch Huey Halloween. Definitely listen to our review.
Yes. Sorry. Thank you for that clarification. Anyway.
Oh God, it's funny as well because this is the first time in a while that we've actually been in the same room as each other recording as well, which is very fun.
That is true.
It feels like the old days, Benjamin.
Back in the we're bringing it back.
The before times.
Before COVID destroyed the world.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah, we're talking about Blood of Zeus today.
Yes.
So which is I should really have looked up the animation studio that did this. It's done by the same animation studio that did Castlevania. It is a Netflix original.
Yes.
Like Castlevania. I'm pretty sure they've got a deal.
I believe so.
And where they've got a few seasons more coming in Castlevania.
Yes. They've done 2 seasons of Castlevania so far. I think. I'm gonna make a big call here.
I'm pretty sure Blood of Zeus is already renewed. I need to check. I'm pretty sure it's already renewed.
They certainly set it up for a second season as well, or a following season.
Have a look.
I want to say that Dragon's Dogma is in the same animation style, but I do not know if it's the same studio or not. Simply because there are parts of it that don't look the same, but there are parts of it that do look the same.
So far, the series season 2 of this show is pending. But it is widely reported as like everyone being like
greenlit.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna get a second season.
Yeah.
I should also mention that I'm very excited for this because we actually most of the things like we'll have 2 weeks to watch a thing and then we'll go and do a podcast about it.
Yeah.
But this one, when we agreed that we would do this, I watched it the next day. Yeah. Which is the day that it came out, and watched every episode back to back. I don't usually binge shows, and I just like glued myself to the TV and watched. It's like 4 hours. It's 8 episodes, half an hour each.
Yes,
it's like 4 hours of stuff, and I just was like, bang, done.
Straight through it. I think I took a little bit longer, but like I think within the day that it came out, I watched because I knew it was coming out. Like it got advertised to me, and this is going to feed into my recommendation as to who to watch this because I've watched a bunch of different things that are similar. Like we said, Castlevania, Dragon's Dogma, anime-y type Western.
Yeah, they call them animes, but they're like American anime, right?
They're Western anime, I suppose is a way to put it. Like, so those sorts of shows, I've watched a whole bunch of them, so it got recommended to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I knew it was coming like a week or 2 before.
Me too.
So I was just like, yeah, I'm going to watch this.
Of course I am.
What do you think I am? So, and just to say that, like, if you're the type of person that watches the Castlevanias, that watches anime in general, that watches these sorts, or even just loves Greek mythology, this is 100% down your alley.
Straight up, if you like Castlevania, watch this. It's a no-brainer decision, honestly.
Exactly.
Let's do a synopsis first.
Yes.
So, this show is about
Heron.
The
guy that sounds like a drug.
Heron is is found to be the son of
bastard son of Zeus,
one of many. And Heron is then being stalked by this overwhelming army coming of demons that are trying to destroy everything, and they seem to be searching for him.
Yeah.
Zeus is also hiding away Heron in a little town, and he's like clouded the town permanently.
Yeah.
To hide the town from his wife,
gaze.
from Hera.
Yeah.
And Hera finds out, and then now Hera wants in on the action, and then she is trying to like also have him killed, and so he's kind of fighting on 2 fronts, and then he's now trying to basically fight these demons back, and also these demons are generally like ripping through the land in general and killing everyone, and he's like, I want to stand up and fight against them and raise an army, and there's also people searching for him that. I don't know if they're particularly searching for him, but like once they find out who he is, they're like trying to recruit him in, and so it's basically this war between humans and the demons.
Demon cult, effectively. So it goes through that story of him discovering himself, finding more about himself, and kind of growing and becoming the leader that he needs to be.
Yeah, and becoming a demigod
to help
effectively,
fight
right?
this war.
Yeah.
And I actually rather enjoyed that as part of the story. Like, I've certainly seen better growth arcs than that, in all honesty, but it was still enjoyable. It was certainly still an enjoyable experience in that. But to the earlier point that we were getting at is how you were saying how it shows that
Zeus fucks,
Zeus
man.
has been sleeping around. He has several bastard godsons already. He has Heron as a demigod bastard. And I was just like, literally like an episode or two into it, I was just like, this whole story just would not happen if Zeus just kept it in his pants.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, they even make a point of that, of being like, this is your fault. You might be the good guy. You might say you're the good guy and you're helping out and you're trying to not have humanity erased.
Yeah.
But if you didn't fuck up, this would be fine. None of this would be happening.
But then beyond that, I was just like, if you think about Greek mythology in general, that's the case for
legit.
Half the Greek mythology stories. It's
Zeus
just like,
is a piece of shit. Zeus is powerful. Zeus is like just and wise, and he's also a mad shitbag. Like, he's a lustful,
just one hell of a
prideful,
philanderer. Yeah,
like he only cares about himself. He's self-absorbed. Yeah, like he'll do things because he recognizes that it's for the good of humanity, but it's because it's his duty to do that kind of thing. Yeah. He's honor bound. Yeah. But he's
otherwise,
still like
he's just like
a dirtbag.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. It's just like, why?
Yeah. Absolutely.
He literally tricks people into sleeping with him.
Oh yeah. which is if you're familiar. I don't think you really need to be familiar with Greek mythology before going into
entirely,
the show,
no,
which is really good. Like, it basically uses a lot of foundation that, like, say, the Disney movie uses, although it stays much closer to the actual mythology rather than Zeus being a good dad and Hera being a loving mum. Yeah. Like, that is not the story of the Greek mythology.
If you watch...
And it's not the story either.
If you ever watch, like, 90s kid nostalgia now, if you ever watch Hercules, the 90s TV show, and Xena... Similar thing. You like the way that they portray the gods there is a fantastic example of it, because Hera is effectively the bad guy in those shows.
In the Hercules Disney TV show?
No, not the Disney TV show, the live action stuff.
Oh, right. I was
Lucy,
like, what?
Lucy Lawless as Xena and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
She's the, like, Ares, Hera, and, like, just a couple of the other gods are, like, the bad guys. And it's very much like that, where it's just like, they are batshit crazy, and everybody is terrified of them. And so, like, that sort of portrayal is significantly more in line with the general mythology, which this show also is.
Yes.
It's Zeus, like, God damn it, Zeus.
Yeah. Keep in your pants, man. What are you doing?
What are you doing, man? Literally none of this would be an issue if it wasn't for you. Like, even thinking about it, because and going a little bit more into the story,
I'll say as well, we're probably not going to get too heavily into spoilers, because there are some cool twists.
There are some very cool twists.
We'll leave.
So the cult, or the demon clan, I suppose. Yeah. And just being careful not to be too spoilery either. Yeah. I don't think they would be that much of a threat. In, like, people, like, the human world or the human army and everything like that would have been capable, like, big losses or whatever, just war in general.
Yeah.
But without the involvement of the gods and everything, they would have been fine.
Absolutely.
They would have managed. I'm just like, Zeus, stop it, man. Just you have this powerful ass bitch of a wife. Just stick with her, please.
Yeah,
for the love of God, man.
He's terrible.
But yeah,
it is funny though, because like the thing that I really liked about this show as well is, in terms of mythology, is that it really shows the gods play a proxy war between the humans and the demons. Yeah. And because they have rules, like, you're not allowed to directly intervene and directly lend your power. But then there's, like, kind of people putting their thumb on the scale a little bit. Like, Zeus is kind of just gently putting his thumb on the scale for the humans without trying to be noticed by the other gods. How far can he help without being pulled up by Hera, without being pulled up by
Ares
immediately
or
Ares
even Poseidon. I feel like Poseidon is like the other character, whereas like in Greek mythology, he is Zeus's brother.
Yes,
and so seen on equal footing almost.
He's the weaker brother, but at the same time, he's also
the
like
respected and also like able to challenge him to an extent.
Senior. Yeah. But I really like how the two sides are trying to
trying to shift things ever so slightly.
Unseen hands and forces of being like, oh, a little thing goes your way. People in the mortal realm would be like, oh, we just found this thing.
Yeah.
But the gods put it there and secretly just kind of without anyone noticing
pushed that person towards it
without even realizing. Which again, if you look on it, thought like in a lot of faith, that's people say. Like, I found this because God wanted me to find this.
Yeah.
Then I was like, that's a really nice little interpretation between like the extraplanar activities and then the mortal
world
realm going on.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then there is a point where they're just like,
nah, screw it.
Hell with it. And they're just like
thunderbolts
balls to the wall, just
launching the thunderbolts,
becoming soldiers in the war. Yeah.
Like, nope, we're fighting now.
It's cool.
End of story.
Yeah.
But then, with having said that, and we've touched very briefly during the synopsis where we're like, and then it talks about Heron and his like character and his background and everything like that. One of the areas of this show that I enjoyed the most, that I was saying like Heron's growth arc was okay. I really enjoyed. I think his name is Seraphim.
Yes,
I really enjoyed his character,
the leader of the demons.
Yes,
Seraphim.
And it's
you go from hating him to being like, I kind of. Like you still know he's the bad guy. There's no point where you're like, oh, I want him to be okay.
Yeah.
But you kind of feel a bit sad for him.
He becomes like you understand. You can see his situation.
If you've seen Castlevania, he is the Dracula. Effectively, he's like you kind of just go, I get it.
Not
like
bad.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah. But I don't hate you as much as I did initially.
I do get it.
Yeah. So. The thought just cropped into my mind temporarily where I was just like, it's almost like a Zuko redemption arc, but there's no redemption arc. There's nothing to it.
There's no
but
redemption.
But there is certainly that having one perspective or one view of the character, and then by the end of the show,
it's still even Zuko like season 1, if you want to use that analogy, where even in that show, Zuko, even in season 1, the first few episodes, bad guy, just straight up cardboard villain.
But by the end of the first season,
even in the end of the first season, he's still a bad guy. He's still
very much the bad guy. But you're like, oh shit.
But you're like, oh, he's doing this because he's been cast out. He's looking for honor. He's got his own motivation for doing these things. That if you were in that position, I mean, you might not want to be as brutal because he's the bad guy, but. At that same way, you understand it. Like if you've been cast
striving for your
father's affection, like it's a really kind of thing. You'd be like, I understand that.
Get it.
That's a human thing to want.
Exactly.
And they're very much in the same way as Seraphim being like going from this just
demon, like literal demon,
and then being like, oh no, I get why you're doing that, and that's a human response. It's a very human thing to do. Castlevania does that in spades through all of its characters. Ironically, the only character that doesn't do it for is the church. It's pretty much
they are just shit.
The church is irredeemable,
straight up horseshit.
But all the monsters actually have compelling kind of like reasons for doing things, and it feels human. And this show is very much the same. That's why like the it's not just the animation style or the way the action is scripted are very similar between the two shows. It's also the themes and the kind of way the show is written.
Yeah.
Which I think is like it's done like that on purpose.
It's similarly done. Yeah. So like kind of just tying back to my earlier point of just being like, like if you watch Castlevania, if you watch those sorts of shows, you love this. And to your earlier point, you were just like, well, Castlevania is somewhat niche. From our perspective, like again, you can get into Castlevania and just enjoy it because it is good quality, regardless of knowing the history.
I'd never actually played a Castlevania game before because I mean, all through growing up, I had a Sega Mega Drive and then went to PlayStation. Like I didn't, and then Xbox. Like I didn't.
You were never.
I
in
always
the Nintendo.
weaved in and out of whatever I owned at the time, Castlevania was not on it.
Yeah.
So I never played it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, again, but I got straight into it. I knew Castlevania's like, hey, he's hunting Dracula. Off you go.
Good enough for me.
That's it.
Here's this dude with a whip that hunts Dracula.
Cool.
Run with it.
Yeah.
So that show was fantastic in that sense that you don't have to have the history to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if you have the history, fantastic. Similarly with this, you don't have to be into mythology or Greek history or anything like that to get into it. But if you happen to, or if you happen to enjoy that stuff, even better.
I don't think it's probably exactly, if you are like a huge Greek history buff,
you'd be upset by this.
It's probably not going to hold up.
It's quite inaccurate.
But in the same way, it's more accurate than I think a lot of pop culture versions and shows.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's fine. It's
good. But yeah, no, I did enjoy this. I certainly enjoyed it. But there are parts of it as well, like as any show would go, there are parts of it that are just like,
Oh yeah, of course.
It doesn't hold up in some of the things that it tries to do, and some of the characters just kind of fall flat. One of the other characters that I do enjoy, but I wish had been fleshed out a little bit more than they did, was Alexia, like the I suppose the main female character in the show.
Yeah,
where from the start she's just this badass, I guess,
Amazonian.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, they actually call her
Amazonian.
Yeah.
Where she was just like,
she looks like a centurion kind of thing. Yeah,
straight up fighting the demons, and literally the only one initially that can hold her ground against them.
Her soldiers are dying.
Just like everybody's getting ripped in half, and she's fighting them off and killing them. Yeah. But then so you're just like, oh, she's cool, and she continues to be cool. But it gives very little beyond that about her. Like later in the show, like later on, it hints at a bit of backstory, but it doesn't go into enough detail to be like, this is a fantastic character. Tell me more about this character.
That's the thing. So I was going to compare this again to Castlevania, but I had the one problem I had with Castlevania season 1 was that it didn't feel like enough of an encapsulated story for me. And it was like, oh, we're going to fight Dracula. But really, they spend their time in one town dealing with the church or like one little thing.
Yeah.
And nothing feels super resolved by the end of it. And you're like, I guess. And then season 2, like, closes that and then ties it together.
Yeah.
So much so that if I was recommending Castlevania to someone, I'd be like, you got to watch both seasons.
Both seasons, yeah.
Well, there's 3 seasons, and I would say watch all of it. But do not stop at season 1. Even if you watch season 1, you're like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'd say you need to watch 1 and 2 are a arc
together. Yeah.
And then I would say maybe it should have been potentially one. I mean, the thing is, anime, like, it's harder to produce. It takes more time.
Yes.
So it's hard to say just do it all together.
Do it in one
but
thing.
really,
it's, like, no.
it's one story, the first 2 seasons, and you need to watch them together.
Yeah.
So when I watched season 1 and didn't watch season 2 for a year, or a year and a half, or however long it took to the second season to come out, I was kind of like, man, season
good,
1,
but
I really liked it, but I wanted more.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of like, this is really cool, and I loved the ideas, but nothing, like, really solidified it.
Yeah.
And I feel that Blood of Zeus season 1 does that better than Castlevania, but there are still issues with it. There are still things like, man, you got some real character depth in some characters, but it was like, we only have 4 hours.
Yeah. So we can't delve into depth for all the characters.
All of these sub-characters.
Yeah.
So a lot of them just don't get screen time.
Yeah.
And some of them I really like, and you're just like, okay, they're there.
Yeah.
And they don't really get much of a show. You see them fighting, you see them doing things, and that's it. So I'm hoping for a potential season 2 that we get to go into that a bit more, like how we got to go into that a bit more with Castlevania season 2.
That's a fair point.
What I'm really hoping.
That's a fair point. I know there's certainly a lot that I like about the idea of season 2. So they obviously by the end of season 1 they tease at season 2.
But the thing is, it is encapsulated. If they don't ever make season 2,
it's the story's told.
The story has an end. Where Castlevania, for example, it's like wide open. It's like if this ends, people are gonna hate this.
Because it's just like you did not finish telling the story.
Yeah.
Whereas this story is told, it is done, but they've set it up for hey, but there's a second story, a separate story, and that you can look forward to. And they tease it throughout
the first season.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what about this? What about that? And you're kind of like, it's in the back of your mind. And then they really are like, if we get season 2, this is what
And
season 2 will be about.
When we get into spoiler, the spoiler side of the podcast, I'm going to touch on one thing that was in my mind the entire way through, and then right at the end I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Which is cool. Which is honestly, that's great writing, right?
Yeah.
The idea that they're threading, they're like when we watch entertainment, like movies or TV and stuff, like if it's like we'll have questions or we'll be like, oh, that piqued my interest or this or that. But realistically, a lot of those questions that you have are like actually cleverly engineered by the writer
for you to
make you
think about it
and plant the seed. And even if you thought, oh, I was just thinking about that,
it's like it's because they want you to.
It's because they're wanting. They might
That's
be
what
trying
they
to
want
slide.
you to think.
Yeah, they're trying to slide that in and not be like, hey, where's this character? Or, what's going on here? Like blatantly state so you think about it.
Yeah,
but they're kind of talking. They might be like. They might just reference it in passing or as part of a larger conversation, and you'd be like, hey, wait a minute, that'll spark something off, and they do that really well. And then the season comes together at the end, and you're like, oh, that's season 2. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, it's
right.
Cool, and that's a really cool little
exactly
moment.
Right. So I think all in all, the writers definitely do a fantastic job of that. The animators do a fantastic job of depicting the battle scenes and
personally,
just everything.
I love this animation style. It's a bit bizarre. Like I feel like sometimes it feels like stilted in some ways. Because like the way they turn and move and talk and like it's hyper real, but then they don't. It's a lot more detailed than a lot of anime, but then they're like.
It's still two-dimensional.
But the movement is also kind of like sometimes not as fluid.
Yeah.
It has this crazy, like it's very unique. Like you could, I didn't even know that like the second I saw the Netflix card for like Blood of Zeus is coming and I was like, oh, Castlevania people doing a new show. Immediately
you recognize it straight away.
This is the art style.
It's a very unique art style.
Which I think it works great for.
And it's very clean and pretty.
Yeah,
like I just like the look of it in general.
I'm very nervous about like kind of getting too much into spoilers. The one thing I will say though is that in the last episode, as we've kind of said, you know, it's the whole thing is this proxy war that kind of devolved and just turns into all out war between the humans and demons. I don't think that's really a spoiler. But what I really liked, so the action is awesome, and that's where the most action takes place, where everything just goes to shit completely, for everyone involved. But it struck me because I haven't seen something like this in a while that I really like that much, where it's a really cool balance between like, I'm going to say like macro and the micro of like the battle itself.
Battles,
So you'll see this huge battle going on, but then you'll see the individual stories played out in the battle itself and the themes that come in there.
Yeah.
Like, again, like the whole thing is like husband versus wife, you know, family turning against each other.
Yeah.
Like it's this kind of thing of, and they're fighting each other and they're going in and doing all this stuff. And then you're seeing that reflect as the whole war is waged.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a really, really cool. Yeah. So the themes tie in with the actual fighting. It's not just, you're not just watching a cool fight.
Yeah.
You're watching
the story,
this internal and external struggle. And I was like, this is just really cool. And it reminded me of like, again, another thing that we do a lot is D&D.
Yeah. Yes.
And that is actually a classic thing that you do when you want to go in D&D and you want to do like a war, but you're playing your party of 5 or 6 characters.
Yeah.
You're like,
you can't try to handle an entire war.
You don't want to say, oh, you're going to fight 40 characters by yourself today in this session, because that's a lot of dice. It's very boring.
Yeah.
Well, you think it's fun, and then it's boring. But then what you do is that you encapsulate the stories to be like your personal story, and you might only fight a few people. You might. It's very small, very
group.
insular.
Yeah.
Or you might be fighting their leader.
Yeah.
It's very much like the scene in The Lord of the Rings
I was
where
just about to say Lord of the Rings is very
um,
much the case.
What's her Owen? Yeah,
where she
Owen.
stabs.
Yeah, and she fights the Lich King.
Yeah, and she stabs him in the face.
And it's this whole thing, like the whole war is raging. You see the war elephants, you see everything going on.
Yeah.
And then but she's one-on-one, and it's this whole tight scene with everything around, and that's just really cool storytelling.
Yeah.
For big scale. battles, and
Yeah.
they do that
And even
perfectly
like I
in
think
this.
Lord of the Rings does that multiple ways through
Yes.
all of it. It's
Yeah.
just like you're following the Fellowship, you're following this small group. You can't care about. Well, obviously you care about the whole wider war, but you're more focused on this small band doing their thing.
Well, the thing is, whole war might be going on, but they're like, this whole war's going, but you need to go over there.
And
That's your
do this
whole
thing.
job.
Yeah.
We don't just make sure you get to the door. Make sure you do this. And it's a little tighter
very
scene,
focused. Yeah.
But even though you know the whole thing is happening, and they'll cut
Yeah.
out and show the whole. And Blood of Zeus does that honestly,
Yeah,
fantastic.
very well.
It holds up with a lot of fantastic, big scale war scenes that, like we talk about, like Lord of the Rings. It honestly, like I was very,
Impressed
very
with them.
happy
Yeah.
with that. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely right. So being mindful that we have gone through quite a bit,
Yes.
I am itching to start getting into some spoiler territory.
So
are we ready for that yet?
The one thing that I want to go through first is our basic recommendations. Obviously, this is a bit of a winner. I would recommend you to go watch this. This is a great show. And honestly, the pacing is quite good. There's actually a lot of content packed in every episode.
Yes.
There wasn't many episodes where I felt like,
that was
man,
just flat.
The first few were great and the last few were great. And to be honest, I felt Castlevania season 1 was a bit like that. Like it went to kind of the Netflix pacing of being like, first one hooks you right in. First episode of Castlevania is amazing. Yeah. And then the last couple episodes, then it kind of dips.
Yeah.
And then season 2 is a whole different beast because I think they fix a lot of that stuff. But season 1 definitely has that kind of issue. But this is just like tightly
Consistent.
paced the whole way through. It's really cool. You're always finding out something new about the world.
Exactly.
You're always kind of going in a bit deeper. It's really good. And I binged it, but I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to know more, and I kept learning and learning and learning. And ironically, the shows that are paced
Meant
for binging,
to be binged are the ones that don't hold your attention
which are
well
the ones
enough.
that I don't binge because I'm generally like, oh man, I've got to watch another hour or half an hour of like nothing
of something
to hope this gets better and maybe picks up.
Yeah.
I usually just stop where this I binged it because I was constantly finding something new out. I was constantly being escalated in this journey, and I was like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
This is so good. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend it. The one question I want to ask you though, Ben, would you recommend this? Because we've talked about a lot of Castlevania as well.
Yes.
Would you recommend this more than Castlevania? 'Cause we've recommended Castlevania to a lot of people. Just like being like, you need. I've been telling Leon, I'm like, you need to watch Castlevania.
It's like,
you need
woman,
to watch Castlevania.
please.
You need to watch Castlevania. This show is amazing.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this before Castlevania?
That is a good question. That is a very good question. I would say no. Like,
Okay.
I would recommend Castlevania above this, but there are aspects of this that I prefer over Castlevania. There are things around, like, I'm a sucker for superheroes and crazy powers and bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Like, this absolutely trumps Castlevania in that sense.
Okay.
I think that the fighting of Castlevania though, like the person to person fighting, is a little bit better in my opinion, in my mind.
In Castlevania.
Like again, like almost contradictory to exactly what I just said. When you have these big, elaborate, powerful bullshit things going on, there's only so much creativity that you can have within a fight
Or
scene.
also, how much can a human being do? When gods are literally like killing each other in the background,
splitting people in half. Whereas in Castlevania, it is Simon. Is it Simon?
No, Trevor.
Sorry. He is struggling and like
Drunk
drunk half the time, and the calligraphy is a lot more interesting, a lot more fluid, a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect to it that kind of shifts the. So it while I said yes to Castlevania, it kind of just like shifts between the two.
I think for me, I would recommend if you were say I have time for one TV show, like a season of something, I would honestly say I would recommend Blood of Zeus first.
Yeah.
But if you have the time, I still think because Castlevania has matured and grown so much and done it so perfectly, I would say Castlevania at the moment is still a better show.
Yeah.
But I am really excited
for
about
season
where Blood of Zeus goes.
Yeah.
In so fact that I'm like, this could become more of my favorite.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really excited to
Yeah.
learn where this goes. Maybe more so than even Castlevania season 4 that's coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm honestly more excited for Blood of Zeus season 2
Yeah.
than Castlevania season
Fair
4.
enough,
Even
yeah.
though I'm pumped for Castlevania season 4. Like, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
But like, this got me feeling like, if you were like, I want to watch one season of either,
just a thing,
I'd be like,
you go Blood of Zeus.
Blood of Zeus gives you a
full story.
a full story, and you feel satisfied after finishing season 1.
Yeah.
Castlevania now has the luxury of being like, I'll finish season 1. It doesn't, for me, didn't really leave me satisfied. But
you get
I
straight
just
into
start
2 and
watching
you're good.
season 2, and then it makes it all better. It's so
Like-
good, and it pays. But it also, it's not that season 1's bad. It pays off stuff season 1 sets up.
Yeah.
So if you watch 1 and 2 together, you're like, bang.
You're sweet.
And to be honest, both of them are like 4 hours. It's like 8 hours, which is 8 hours is usually less than one normal season of any other
of a
show.
series.
So you're not like, I have to watch 2 seasons of a thing
To enjoy
You're like,
this.
it's
Like, no.
actually not that much.
Yeah. And like you said, though,
Yeah.
even just the one on its own, still very enjoyable. Yeah. But it's just like there are certain plot points that are just like, yes,
Well,
I need to cut
Castlevania
this tight
season
off.
1 basically holds up of how cool Dracula is.
Yeah.
Dracula is one of my most favorite villains that I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh man, Thanos is like, such a cool villain of like, he's an empathetic villain, and Marvel are doing that really well, and they are. But Dracula is better.
Like
Castlevania Dracula,
you're just like, I'm fighting for Dracula. Like, I'm on Dracula's side with this.
At no point, So the thing is, again, like, so my favorite villains of any show, of any media that I've watched in the last like at least a couple of years, have been for quite a while, have been Killmonger, and have been Dracula, and Dracula's probably
just like,
at no point I empathized with Killmonger, and I felt sorry for him, and I was like, you know what,
he's right or whatever.
I was like, I see where he's coming from. I don't agree with him, but I do see where he's coming from.
You can understand him.
I can understand him.
Whereas,
at points in Castlevania, I was like, no, Dracula, you are in every right to just burn this fucking place to the ground.
Just
kill everyone, Dracula.
Humans are scum.
Just humans,
get rid of them, please.
They're scum. And he's like, they don't deserve to live. And I'm like, you're not wrong. At no point has the show made me go, you know what, I'm going to switch teams and root for the villain for a little bit.
No, and you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Like I've definitely felt that as well.
You're like, listen, Trevor and like his gang are the only things that make me even remotely interested in humanity. Everyone else are just scum, and I don't understand why Trevor is fighting for these people.
and like we're kind of like,
which is really funny. But Blood of Zeus is not nearly that dense, or complex.
Yeah.
It's like, we clearly have
a clear story.
We have the clear good guys, we have the clear bad guys, and we do have a bit of ambiguity of being like, Zeus is a good guy. He is definitely a good guy, but he now has to come to reckoning of he's the one that has made this.
He's the one that
by
caused
his
this.
own mistakes and his own selfishness.
Yeah.
Which I think is also a very cool. So Zeus
Story.
kind of goes through more of a redemption arc than villains do.
Yeah.
Even though Zeus is a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I did like a lot of stuff about this.
That's true.
So
that is true.
Also, fuck man, I started playing Hades directly after this. So my last 2 weeks have just been full of Greek mythology, and like the shows blurred together,
blends,
like the game and the show. So
bleeds
also,
into each other.
If you are playing Hades because it's like a new release, people are talking about it. It's a very good game. Switch and PC, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome game. If you like playing Hades, you should absolutely watch Blood of Zeus.
This is the show for you.
It's very different, but in the same way of kind of like a little edgy.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of like kind of little jokes. Like it has the same kind of personality as Blood of Zeus. They have the same personality to each other.
Yeah.
It's more just like the story is very, very different. But like obviously, if you like that, then you'll probably like that as well.
I've actually been in a bit of a Greek mythology kind of space recently because I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Oh, yeah,
And I
yeah.
finished that not too long ago. And again, like Assassin's Creed is a fantastic game. And for a long time, I stopped playing because it was just the same crap again and again, and just got tired.
I stopped ages ago.
But apparently, from Origins, which was ancient Egypt,
Yeah.
and now Odyssey in ancient Greece, like they've revamped it. It's a different game style and so on and so forth.
It's like
And-
an RPG.
Yeah, exactly. And that just hooked me straight back in. I'm very tempted to get Valhalla because of it. But that's beside the point. So like I've very much been in that space
Yeah.
as well. And so just like all these things like Greek gods and all that kind of stuff. Because even Assassin's Creed Odyssey gets like you fight a what's this called? Cyclops, and you fight Medusa, and you fight the Minotaur, and you fight like these big
Classics,
ass classic monsters.
Yeah.
And you fight like a freaking werewolf, like the huge lycanthrope. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. So like just having all of that within like the radar and the space.
So if you're a fan of all of this stuff, then the Blood of Zeus absolutely
just
hands
fits
down
right in
delivers.
nicely.
Yeah.
Fits in very nicely with the whole shebang.
Okay.
Shall we?
We are going to start spoilers now. So for anyone that will be leaving us here, thank you very much. We have loved your company with us and listening, and thank you for your time. If we could ask one big favor of you, would be please to do a few things for us. So if you'd like to listen to more of this, either subscribe or follow or whatever your chosen platform
however it works.
requests you to get the latest updates for this show. Also, let us know about what you've been, if you enjoyed this show or whatnot. We've got multiple channels through Facebook, Discord,
even on like YouTube, you can just chuck things into the comments and the whatnot.
We've been going through a lot of that stuff. We'll have links in places to go find all those things. And also, if you would like to leave us a review as well, if your chosen platform allows you to do that, a 5-star review would be fantastic. It makes us found
more accessible,
a bit more accessible, and other people can find us a little easier on the charts. So, but what again, as we say, is the most important thing. If you like this episode, tell a friend about it, and maybe recommend them. So we're really trying to push more shows that are more hidden gems. And I think the next one we're going to be doing is a classic that we actually watched a long time ago, but is one of the biggest sleeper hits that we've ever seen.
Honestly, one of my favorite shows that I've watched on Netflix.
Yeah,
and that's not even an exaggeration. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I never would have heard about it through any regular means other than Adam, you recommending it to me.
And I only got it recommended to me because someone told me about it and was like, hey, Adam, you should really watch this. Someone at work. And I was like, oh, okay. And again, Netflix did not recommend this to me, nothing. And I watched it and was blown away. So I'm really excited about that review.
Yes.
Next week. In 2 weeks,
next
rather. 2
cast,
weeks. Yeah, next cast. But yeah, so we're really trying to push that more. So if you have some friends that are like, hey, we want to find some cool kind of sleeper hits on streaming platforms, then maybe send them our way. Because maybe we can help out with that.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you later.
Yes.
But now, for the people remaining,
Spoiler time.
spoiler time.
Spoiler town. So one of the two things that I want to touch on, again, kind of time, both of them are actually related to Seraphim. The first one being that his story, like, I was obviously trying to anticipate where things would go and how things would look as the story was going. And maybe halfway through, I was just like, I have a sinking suspicion that it's going to be, hey, brother, let's fight the gods. They're manipulating us.
Well, that's what he did.
yeah, exactly. And it was just like, because he was just like, holy shit, we're brothers. Holy shit, who was my mother? Holy shit, you made me kill my mother. Yeah, holy shit, now you're telling me what to do.
Hera made me kill her knowing that I was her son.
Yeah. And then it's like,
she knew that. He's like,
she
fuck
knew
her
that.
too.
And then now she's just like, now you want me to bow to you? Now you're just like,
Hell no.
I'm your whipping dog?
Hell no.
Screw this shit. Hey, we are brothers.
Let's take them all down.
Let's work together.
Zeus made this situation happen, and Hera is making it worse.
Like, making it worse.
Fuck all of them.
Like, we do not need to work
Which I was kind of
for
like,
the gods. And I was like,
yeah.
And I was genuinely quite excited to see that. because I was like, again, from
But then
episode 2 or 3, when
it's like, but now I will be a god.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh, cool, it's Jerry Little Power Trip. Yeah. Oh, you are the bad guy. I remember now. You are definitely still the bad guy.
So like that was very exciting, and I was just like, oh, that would be nice, an unexpected twist that I would really have enjoyed. Then back to my point about none of this would have happened if not for Zeus.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to touch on it earlier on because it's very spoilery. Like, if if it wasn't for Zeus, Seraphim would have just grown up as a prince and lived his life. He wouldn't have been on the run. He wouldn't have found the demon, the giant body. He wouldn't have started eating from it. He wouldn't have created that cult.
No.
That body would have just stayed in the cave and nobody would have known of it. End of story.
Yeah.
Second point of that, even if all of that did happen and the demon bodies did find someone else to pull them in and start like...
Yeah, the Titan. I keep forgetting what it's. What came first?
The Titans. So
And then-
the gods killed the Titans,
And then the giants.
and then the giants came from
and then they eat a giant body to become
the
a
demons.
demon. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it. Ugh,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Fuck it, whatever. So
But that's pretty. No, except for the demon thing. That is straight up mythology. Yeah, the Titans and whatever.
So if it wasn't for the fact that Zeus created this sword that could cut anything, Seraphim would not have been able to go into that underwater cave and retrieve the box with the souls.
Which is funny because that sword is supposed to be a gift
To
for
Heron.
Heron never uses it.
He grabs it and just like yoink, he yeets it.
and then the
never
bad
touches
guy
it
and the bad
again.
guy gets it, and I was like, well, I'm waiting for the time where Heron gets his sword back.
And it's like,
it never
no,
happens.
it does not happen.
The sword is destroyed in Seraphim's possession. I'm like, or Seraphim ditches it.
Yeah, no,
he
because uses it to get the box back and just leaves
And he's
it
like,
there.
I don't give a shit about this
Because he
anymore.
launches it at the...
I've got my spear. Why do I need this
automaton
extra
thing.
sword?
Yeah. So I was just like, Zeus, if you hadn't created that shit, he would not have been able to beat that thing. Because the only way he could beat it, because that sword could cut through anything.
Zeus, even when he's trying to do the right thing, cannot stop fucking up in the series. He cannot do a goddamn thing right. When he's training Heron, like his weapons master is being like, you are pushing this kid way too fucking hard.
Just like, he doesn't need you to yell at him to say that he's shit.
And then he's like, it's the only way I know how.
Like, I don't know. But that
like,
was
I'm
also,
a terrible dad,
that
basically.
was-
I don't know what to do.
It's like, what do you want me to do? This is what I know. You're shit. Do better. But that was a good point for Zeus because it was just like, yeah, no, he's valuable. Like, gods are shit.
He cannot stop fucking up. The whole show is just a colossal mistake after mistake by Zeus. He's the most fallible
Blood of
person in
Zeus,
the entire
the
show.
Chronicles of Zeus's fuck ups.
It's great, honestly. This is awesome.
And then, but the thing that I really, really wanted to touch on the whole way through is like very early on, they show you the gods, the battle between the gods and the Titans, and then the gods and the giants. And straight away, you see Hades take out one of the giants with his spear.
Yes.
Where he just jumps above him, launches that spear in, and just like impales him.
Which is actually
and
funny.
He dies.
So in Hades, one of the weapons is the spear, and it has the same throw,
and
it
comes back.
Because,
And I think that's Hades' thing.
But I was
right?
like, that's really
like,
cool.
That's super cool.
I watched
right?
Blood of Zeus first and started playing the game,
Yeah,
and was
you're
like,
it's here.
I got the spear.
It's here.
Yeah.
So the entire way, I'm like, they're talking about the gods and like they're introducing the gods, and you're seeing all of them. There's the scene where Hermes, Apollos, Ares, they're fighting in that arena, just like fun for whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, where's Hades? But it's like, oh wait, no, he's
in Underworld.
Underworld.
He's in
That's
Underworld.
his thing. But this whole time they're fighting
He's
these
super
things
absent.
again. He's just
Super
not
absent.
there the entire time. But it's not obvious, but it's just like,
well, even
if
in a
you're
couple of
mindful
seconds,
of it, you're just
they're
like,
even chatting about. Well, they mention him in conversation, and not, oh, where is Hades?
Yeah.
It's more like, they're like, oh, should we talk to the underworld about
Yeah.
this? Should we try and?
Should
I think
we
there's
get
a
his
question.
help? Yeah.
Should we try and get his assistance?
Yeah.
And they're like, just he's not involved. He clearly doesn't want to be
yeah,
involved.
just leave it alone.
leave him alone.
But the other part to that though is I was just like, why did he leave his spear? He killed the giant with
And
it,
left it in him.
and just left it in the body, and it was like, see ya.
Yeah.
And then the whole time I'm like, Seraphim has this spear. why?
He has Hades'
and
spear.
why
yeah.
is he able to throw it and it comes back to him? Because it's not a giant powered. Like, because he ate the flesh of the giants to become the demon, and he has the giant's powers, I suppose.
But
So
that
the spear
responds,
coming back to
which
him,
is funny because he tries to use it on Hera, and Hera's like, and Zeus, I think.
Yeah. No. At no point
he,
did
he tries to use it on Hera, and Hera just stops it,
stops it,
and
just
she's
like-
like so cute.
Yeah.
like no.
So I'm just like, the whole way, I'm just like, why did Hades leave the spear, and why is Seraphim able to use it
and catch it and
and
use
like
the power,
throw
not just
it,
yeah.
bring it back, throw it, bring it back? It's just like, this is a god power. Like, this is a god spear. And then right at the end, it's just like post-credit bullshit. And then it's just like, oh, Seraphim's spirit.
Seraphim's in the underworld.
He's in the underworld.
And Hades
then,
is like, how you going?
but initially he's just like, oh, where am I? What's going on? And he tries to call the spear to him. And then it starts making the noise as if it is coming to him. And then it shoots past him and goes into Hades' hand.
He's like,
it's like, sup. Sup. And then it's just like, hey. You want to go to hell? No? Bow to me. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because that tied in those two things. Because
which is cool. He's like, I refuse to bow to Hera. Like,
Yeah.
and she would like
force
use the
him.
power to
Yeah.
like force him to kneel.
Yeah.
And he's just so he would never kneel.
willingly.
Now, but
now
Hades
he's
is
just
like, no, you are.
You either have to or you are literally going to hell.
Yeah,
Your choice, buddy. And so it's just like,
He just kind of stands there looking and goes,
he's genuinely pissed. It's just like, oh, like
I'm now caught in this again.
Like he was like so pleased that he got away from Hera, like she died, and like he's like, I don't have to deal with her bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
Now that I'm dead, I have to deal with Hades' bullshit. It's like, why?
He's just the
He's
puppet.
just like,
of the gods,
and
yeah.
it's just like, you feel bad for him because like this entire time his life has just been a mess.
Yeah.
Because of the gods.
Because the gods have made it that way,
Because-
and he's resentful and spiteful
and now he's
of
in
the
another.
gods, and I'm like,
he's in
kind
another
of
position.
deserved.
Yeah.
like they've
So-
fucked him over so badly.
Yeah. So
ruined
that
his
is
life.
what I'm excited for in season 2, because you just know that he's gonna be. I feel he's gonna be a key part of that.
It's real cool. I'm really excited for season 2.
Yeah, as
So,
am
yeah.
I. But that excitement is a little bittersweet because we're probably gonna have to wait.
Oh, it's gonna be
A
ages.
year
At
to
least
2.
I think it's gonna be 2+.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to wait.
Yeah.
But that's why I liked recommending it. I was like, it's a good first season, and you can watch it,
And you can watch
you
it
can
completely.
honestly watch it completely and
forget about it.
And when
And
season
then,
2 comes out,
like,
you'll be like, hey,
boom,
season
yeah.
2's here.
Yes,
So it's
exactly
great.
right.
Definitely go watch that.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, we probably could have put this in the non-spoiler bit, but like we would have been talking like every other podcast on the planet would have been movie podcast. We've been talking about The Mandalorian. And I mean, we don't because like everyone else is going to be talking about it, right? Like,
So,
what's the point?
We're gonna talk about stuff that you unlikely to come across.
Also, yeah, Mandalorian's pretty good. Actually, I won't even say it's pretty good. It's one of the best Star Wars things that has come out in a very long time.
Watch that as well.
It's very good.
Watch that as well.
It's phenomenal.
But we're not gonna review it.
You need. Yeah, we're not,
I need to get into it.
Well, what
Yeah.
I was going to do is we're probably going to have a Mandalorian watch. So every
Oh,
time,
yeah.
every time
Like,
a podcast comes out because it's coming weekly.
Yeah.
So next time we do a podcast, there'll be some more Mandalorian episodes,
Yeah.
and we'll just mention, hey, there's some more Mandalorian episodes. You should probably watch that.
You
as
should
well.
watch it as well.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's talk about.
We're gonna do that, like just give 5 minutes to every like Mandalorian and be like, it's still good,
Still good.
Still
Worth
good,
watching.
still good.
Carrying on.
Yeah.
All right. Now, to kind of wrap this up once again, I feel like this, I kind of realized something like halfway through. It's like,
Yes.
while we were like reviewing Blood of Zeus,
We also reviewed
we
Castlevania.
reviewed Castlevania. This was a Blood of Zeus / Castlevania review.
I feel-
and I
feel-
hope you enjoyed it.
Yes. Well, then, yeah, go watch both, right?
Go-
Like, they're
by-
great shows. And
by
also,
all
you could
means.
watch all of it, 4 seasons of the television, and you could honestly knock all of it out in maybe a week,
Yeah.
maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
And at a pace, too. Not binging. You could watch all of this within a week.
Because it's all up. It's what?
4, 8, 12,
hours?
16 hours, roughly. 16 hours for 4 seasons across 2 shows.
Yeah.
And you could watch it comfortably within maybe how you would watch a regular season of, like, say, Ozark, which is like 10 to 15 episodes
Of
an hour each.
close to an hour each. Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Or if you want to tie it to like
4 seasons of some solid animation.
It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
So, once again, to wrap it up, for all of you that have chosen to remain and listen in on the spoilers, thank you all very, very much. Thoroughly appreciate your time and thoroughly appreciate your listening to us. like we said before, if there's anything that anything that you've enjoyed that you're like, yeah, a lot of people haven't actually seen or even heard of this,
let us know.
Let us know. We'll give it a review. We'll give it a watch
know.
ourselves. Like, not even just for reviewing. We want to watch these things. But yeah, check out some of the other stuff that we've done. There's already a couple of nice little gems that we've touched on already. And yeah, just jump onto this Discord as well. Like, while we do these reviews, we also talk about these things within the Discord
We
space.
have a dedicated channel for like talking
do
about what
have
we're
it.
watching.
Exactly right.
It's brand new, and people are really loving it.
It's jump right onto that. So yeah, very much looking forward to having you guys participate, and we would love to see more of you guys around.
Excellent.
So thank you all very much, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.